Filthy Animals is an ecology podcast for adults. Episodes may contain strong language and graphic descriptions of natural phenomena. A more detailed list of content warnings is included in the episode description.
Welcome to Filthy Animals, a sex, drugs, and ecology podcast where science educators talk about adult activities of the natural world. Every month, we'll expose you to the latest research on topics your high school science teacher was too embarrassed to talk about. My name is Rachel.
I'm Alan.
And I'm Nicole. Today, we're going to be talking about catnip and just a little bit about just drug usage, I guess, because catnip is a drug to cats, and it has some very interesting effects on cats that I didn't know about, so I'm assuming most people don't know about it. And we're also going to be busting some catnip myths as well. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Catnip, the legal status of catnip in all 50 states currently is
Hell yeah.
yeah legal.
Hell yeah, legal.
How long did cats have to lobby for that?
I mean, thankfully they don't have to lobby for catnip.
Oh, right on.
You know, it's just always been accepted. So, yeah.
Interesting, because it's harmless.
I guess we'll find out.
Yay!
Yay.
But yeah, we'll go over what is catnip, its effect on cats, and then a secret third thing when we get there, which I thought was the most fun part. So hopefully you guys like it too.
A secret third thing.
Yes.
Cool.
So catnip is it's in the mint family, and it is usually the leaves that are going to be like ground up and put inside of like a cat's toy. And most people have given their cats catnip, but if you're not familiar, they get very excited about it. If you plant it in your garden, you will attract cats and they will roll around in your garden. But it is related to, things like rosemary, sage, oregano, all of these mints that we're very familiar with and we use like every day in our cooking. And it is very common where it is found in Asia. And the part of catnip that is activating cats when they interact with it is called, I'm so sorry, there's a lot of big words in this one. I'm just going to try my best.
You got this. I believe in you.
Thank you. Some of these I did look up beforehand. I, for some reason, didn't look up this one, even though it's really important. Okay, here we go. Nepetolactone? That sounded like a word that sounds right? Nepetolactone.
Nepetolactone?
Yeah. This is what makes cats go crazy. It is a compound in the glands of the leaves of the plant and in the flowers as well. And there's a lot of other compounds in there, but that's kind of the main one that we have found. Like, we can extract it and make like an essential oil out of it, and we know that this is what the cats are reacting to. And it is something that is called an iridoid. Are you familiar with this term at all?
No.
Spell that.
Iridoid.
Iridoid. Iridoid. Yeah. No, I don't know what it means, but
Okay.
I'm going to be saying it in my head.
It's a good word. It's fun.
Seems like is it related to iridescence in that root?
I don't think so. It's like irritant. Iridoid.
Oh,
Irritant.
iridoid.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is found, iridoids are found in a ton of different plants, not just catnip. And in the wild, this is being produced by the plant to help protect itself from insects.
Okay.
So it's an irritant specifically to insects to prevent herbivory.
Okay.
But for some reason, it makes cats go crazy. And it's really common in mints. It's part of what gives them such a strong odor, actually. And what's interesting with catnip in particular is that it was actually lost in some of like the ancestors of this plant, and then it reemerged along the evolutionary line at some point. And so like this specific iridoid is very attractive to cats, whereas like a lot of the other mint family cats don't care about them. So it was lost, came back, and now attracts cats for some reason.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I'm also like, okay, in Asia, there's a lot of big kitties.
Yeah.
And I'm picturing just like a natural landscape full of big cats rolling around in the grass.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
That's like a common zoo enrichment for big cats is to give them like like any kind of really fragrant smelling vegetation.
Yes. Yeah. It's great enrichment for them. And we have found that a lot of wild cats do react to catnip as well. So a list that I found included pumas, lions, leopards, jaguars, lynx, ocelots. But weirdly enough, maybe citation needed on this because I couldn't find anything, but not tigers.
Oh. Huh.
And I don't know why. I got lost in the sauce and other things, so I didn't specifically look into tigers super closely. If anybody works with tigers and knows whether or not they react to it, I would love to know. But yeah, for some reason, tigers don't care about it as much. Yeah. And kind of going back to domestic cats, historically, because I've seen this touted a lot, historically it was estimated that 2/3 of cats respond to catnip. But now we think it's closer to about 80% of cats. So like this is really well documented. There's been a lot of, I was reading a bunch of different scientific articles on catnip and like doing experiments with cats. And it's just a bunch of pictures of cats just like zoned out on like the laboratory floor. Just like, it's so funny. And like videos of them like rubbing on little scent spots that are like taped to the ground. It's really good stuff.
It makes sense there's a ton of research on this because people can make money off of it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yes.
Like, okay. Yeah. Like breeding more powerful, more potent kinds of catnip.
The reason why historically, or at least one of the reasons why historically we thought that maybe only like 2/3 of cats responded to catnip is that it wasn't until recently that we realized that just because a cat isn't like freaking out and rubbing on it and like, you know, clawing at it or pawing at the ground or doing these like really stereotypical behaviors, some cats just kind of zen out and just like sit beside the catnip in like a loaf position and just like take in the scent. But that is still reacting. It's just a passive reaction instead of those active reactions that we think of.
Okay.
And so, you know, it's they're still responding to it. And we have found that, you know, by testing the cats before and after exposure, that things like beta endorphins are increased in cats and when they're exposed to catnip. So these are pain relievers and pleasure chemicals that are released in the brain when cats are exposed to it. And they significantly rise after exposure. And we have also found that if cats are given drugs like Narcan before they are exposed to catnip, that they do not react to it.
What?
So these drugs...
Why was this... Never mind. Keep going.
I know. It's,
okay.
Sometimes science gets a little weird.
What?
Yeah.
Go on. So I'm like Narcan is like a very powerful stimulant, right? When it shuts off those like it has a stimulating effect rather. Like,
yeah, it'll shut off these receptors that normally will bind to in people things like opioids.
Right.
So it is used in people to reverse an opioid overdose.
Right. Like immediately.
Yes.
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 Is this in any way chemically similar to an opioid? Like why would they use Narcan of all things? And like this is not
She's
like
nodding.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just weird. And also what is the safe dose of Narcan for a cat? Like how do they figure that out? It
You probably don't want to know how they figured it out.
Okay.
But I mean, I didn't look into that part. I'm just going to assume they started really, really low and then found the effective dose and stopped there.
Interesting. Okay.
Probably not, but I'm just going to believe that. But yes, those are great questions. And this is what kind of got me excited about this topic was I've always heard of catnip eliciting a sexual response in cats, and that like
I've
have you
never
not heard that?
No.
Okay. A lot of people are like, don't give your cat catnip because it, you know, it's heightening their sexual arousal and like stuff like that. And it's like,
Oh my God.
is that actually what's happening? And I am going to say no for reasons that we will get into.
Okay.
But to go back to Alan's question, why things like Narcan, what is happening chemically in the brain? We have found by doing these experiments that catnip's effect, again, is minimalized when giving these drugs beforehand. So it is thought that it acts on the cat's brain much like an opioid, that they are getting high off of this, not necessarily like sexually stimulated. And, you know, the cats just do not react at all to the catnip. It's not just like, oh, they react for a shorter amount of time. Like they do not react to the catnip at all when these receptors are deactivated.
Gotcha.
Which is fascinating. Yeah.
Where were you seeing that people thought it was sexually arousing their cats? Because if this is common people, did they just see the word arousal and have a moral panic?
I honestly think that that's a big part of it.
People don't understand scientific terms.
Yes. Like arousal can mean all sorts of different things. Like, and I think that that's really common is like people don't understand like the nuances here. And that's like, again, I'm fighting some myths with this episode. But if you just search like catnip's effect on cats, like that's like the first thing that pops up on like every single article. On Reddit, on, you know, Facebook groups, on like, you know, momblog.com. Like it's always like, ooh, the catnip gets them excited. And like, it's so weird. I understand where people are coming from to an extent with it for a couple different reasons. It turns out that young cats do not appear to be affected by catnip. So there was this assumption coming from, oh, they're not sexually mature, so therefore they're not, you know, being aroused by the smell of it. And the main component in catnip, that nepentylactone, is thought to mimic male cat urine used in attracting mates. However, when I was researching this, I could not find a single, like even like 80s, 70s, like both old and new research. I could not find a single scientific article that was like, yes, they are being sexually heightened by catnip. Like it's all just talking about opioids and like, you know, pleasure centers in the brain, but like,
that can be, I drank a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, like I had sugar, I had a piece of chocolate, and like, you know, my brain went, ooh, yummy. Like,
yeah,
it's just because you're experiencing pleasure doesn't mean it's sexual.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Oh,
so
what a beautiful example of like just science illiteracy.
Yes. Yeah. It's really fascinating. And I also found that the chemical, it's called, I don't remember, I didn't write it all down, but it's MMB is the odorant found in male cat urine. Fun fact, it is also found in passion fruit, coffee, and some wines. So it is not like a chemical that only exists in cat urine. It is very common throughout the natural world. It's, you know, just because it's in two things doesn't mean that like you're sexually stimulating your cat by giving them catnip.
Right. Yeah. Like, is your cup of coffee sexually stimulating your cat?
Yeah. It's are cats getting off in wine orchards because they're, you know, chewing on grapes? I don't think so. Like,
I think grapes are actually toxic for cats.
Probably. They're definitely toxic for dogs.
And hedgehogs.
Interesting. So, okay, because I had always heard like the analog, like, you know, people would say like, okay, in terms of like an analog drug for people, that catnip had a similar effect to cocaine in terms of being like stimulating and like hitting those pleasure centers in the brain, right? But interesting. But you're saying it's more chemically similar to like an opioid, is what current studies are showing.
That's what I was seeing a lot. I also saw LSD mentioned, but that was from a study in like the 80s. Not that old research can't be valid, but I was seeing a lot more discourse around opioids.
Wow.
And cat brains are different than people brains, so we really probably will never know.
Sure.
But especially like them reacting to the Narcan is really fascinating.
Yeah, because that's really showing what's going on chemically in the brain with the receptors. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Why did I think it was like weed?
I mean, well, some cats do just kind of like zen out, which is like, you know, a stoner person kind of like, oh my God, help me.
Greening out?
No.
Yes.
But like people make fun of like, oh, stoners just sit around all day and like hang out.
Oh, yeah. You're saying some cats experience like a nice body high and just kind of loaf on the
chill.
couch.
Yeah. In all the articles, it was like they assume a sphinx posture. And I'm like,
Oh,
I mean, you can just call it loafing. It's fine.
I love that every
A
time you say
sphinx posture.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. You like
You
make a
gotta
loaf
scrunch.
out of yourself.
Yeah, and they just kind of hang out and order a pizza later.
Doritos.
Yeah.
Some other reasons why I personally think that this is not like a sexual response. This one's maybe a little niche, and I don't know like if there's really science behind it, but I'm just being honest, you know.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm coming to my own conclusions. Some of them scientifically based, some of them not. This one is not really. But when we think of cats like ingesting and like processing pheromones left by other cats, they do that like weird face thing where they like scrunch up their face and open their mouth. And so that's the Fleming's response. And they are using the Jacobson's organ, which is inside of their mouth, to process that smell.
Like a snake.
Yeah. Tasting smells.
Yes. But cats, when they're processing catnip smells, don't do that. They don't do the Fleming's response. They are sniffing with their nose. So they are, you know, processing that smell with totally different organs in a totally different way.
Interesting.
And I think that that is notable.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because like if they're reacting to like a scent mark or something like that from another cat, they would be doing the Fleming's response.
Yeah, they do that little stink face.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. Again, I couldn't find any science to back this up, but I think it's notable.
That seems reasonable.
No, it is. Yeah. I mean, if it's it's not like they're getting a false positive on a potential mate necessarily. Is what that seems to suggest. So yeah, no, that's valid. Also, cat urine and mint don't smell very similar.
No.
I can attest to this.
Yeah. Or like coffee or passion fruit. So
Yeah. There is a little bit of a funk, if you will, to like coffee and passion fruit.
That's true.
Stank, if you will.
I think if I start noticing that there's a stank to coffee, it'll make me not like it. So I'm going to refuse to agree with you on that one.
Okay, that's
fair.
fair. Don't overthink it.
Sometimes it's for the best. Going back for a second to, I didn't write down the name of the study, but the 2017 study that I kind of alluded to earlier, where they were looking at these passive behaviors versus active behaviors, they actually found that 95% of their cats in that particular study, and I think there was like 60-ish cats, so a decent pool, 95% of them did have some kind of a response. They also found that cats as young as 3 months old were having a response. So this combats that, sexual maturity, they don't respond till older, because domestic cats, will hit sexual maturity at about 6 months old. So they are reacting before sexual maturity. However, and I think this is important too, a lot of the younger cats had more of those passive responses that older papers were not looking at, and where a lot of these myths are kind of, focused on and build off of. Just because the cat isn't pawing and, scent marking on these things, doesn't mean that they're not reacting to it. As far as why younger cats have more passive responses, I really don't know, and the paper didn't really give any good answers to that either. But, some kind of mental development is happening where they end up having more active responses. I still don't think it's sexual.
Yeah.
They also found in the study that male cats and female cats had similar, reactions, I guess, to it. It wasn't just female cats, reacting to the scent of a male cat and getting excited. So either all domestic cats like the males are a little bit gay, and so they're reacting to this, male scent, or maybe it's just not sexual, which is what I'm probably going to lean towards. But who knows?
They could all be a little gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could all be a little gay. Kind of changing gears a little bit and talking more about the plant, I was really fascinated by these iridoids and what their purpose was more specifically in nature. Again, kind of general don't eat me kind of components to the plant, which makes sense. Lots of plants have things like this. It was found that specifically with catnip and the iridoid that it produces, it is specifically protecting from pests like aphids.
Oh.
They also found that it has mosquito repelling properties.
What?
So cats that rub on catnip will actually like not have as many mosquitoes land on them.
Ooh, okay.
Nice.
This same component has also been found to be effective against ticks as a repellent.
Oh, yeah. Very helpful.
Nice.
A couple different studies that I looked at found catnip oil to be as effective or more effective than 5% DEET, though it does not last nearly as long.
Okay.
It is ineffective after only like 1 or 2 hours, whereas like strong percentages of DEET can be effective for like 4 to 6 hours. So it's kind of the main drawback to it is just doesn't last very long. It breaks down very, very quickly. They have found that these chemicals can be mixed with other stuff that makes it last a little bit longer, but still just not as long as DEET. It's also been found to be effective against bed bugs, which I found fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Not much really repels bed bugs, but it can be as effective as DEET at repelling for over 24 hours, but significantly worse after 3 days, only about 25% effective.
Fascinating.
Yes. So very, very widely repelling against a lot of different pests. And with the aphids specifically, the nepatolactone, that is actually used by the aphids as well. They also produce this compound. And in the aphids, it is actually used as a sex pheromone.
Oh, okay.
So it does create a sexual response in aphids.
In aphids,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Okay. But why does that repel aphids then?
Great question. So, because it seems like it'd be bad to be like, hey, aphid sex party over here. But turns out that when other insects think that there's an aphid sex party happening, it is going to be attracting a bunch of predators like lacewings, which are known as aphid lions. So absolutely fascinating. I just found that really wild that this plant is making aphid sex pheromones to attract the predators of the aphids and keep itself safe.
Incredible.
That's pretty good.
Oh my God, could you plant catnip in your garden to attract all the aphids to the catnip and keep your garden plants safe?
So yes and no. It turns out that most of the commercially available catnips have been bred to be different enough that they do not produce as many nepatolactones. What? Yeah, so they don't produce the same chemicals. So they do not provide, one, they don't attract nearly as many cats, which honestly might be part of it. But also, they're not producing the same chemicals, so it won't have the same effect.
That's bullshit.
It is, honestly.
Terrible.
I'm sure that you can find some varieties that are a little bit more true to the wild plant, but I didn't dive into that, so I don't have any recommendations.
Okay.
I feel cheated.
I know.
What, so the corporations get to use strong catnip, but not us common people?
I know, right? I was really excited when I read this. I was like, ooh. I had the exact same thought. Everybody plant catnip in your gardens, apparently.
Yeah, but
other
no.
than the cats coming into your yard and pooping in your garden, but
yeah, which is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Just put up some chicken wire. It'll be all right.
Yeah, maybe.
If you were to use a catnip essential oil as an insect repellent, would that also attract cats to you?
I
If you're just
mean,
like working in your garden, are you just gonna have like 3 of the neighborhood cats just like staring at you,
it's possible, honestly. And
just rubbing up on your legs?
it's kind of interesting because catnip actually has been, well, nipetolactone has been approved by the EPA as a skin applied insect repellent ingredient.
Oh.
Like you can, I found at least one like commercially available repellent that had nipetolactone as a main ingredient.
Okay.
But again, it just like even on that specific one, it was like reapply after 1 hour.
Mhm.
And it's like, that's so much work and no one's going to do that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're just going out for like an hour or something, though, it could be nice to
be
have
worth it.
something like that as an alternative to DEET. Like if you're just working outside in your backyard garden, and then you'd have the benefit of like creating the most like zen vibe of like a conglomeration of loafing cats around you. That'd be pretty sick, to be honest.
I
That'd be
mean,
pretty cool.
yeah, absolutely. It has some like, you know, validity as a repellent. And like I said, there are a lot of research going into how can we make this better and longer lasting, both as a repellent for people, but also for things like bed bugs. Like that's a huge problem
Yeah.
and is getting worse in recent years. So there is a lot of research going into this for that purpose as well.
Yeah. Plus, there's like plenty of valid reasons why you might not want to walk around with DEET on your arms every day.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's
Or for short periods of time.
yeah.
Yeah.
DEET is, again, it is approved by the powers that be, but it does have drawbacks. It is like a chemical. You're supposed to like take a shower after you use it. I personally don't ever put it on exposed skin. I only put it on my clothes, but that's just a personal thing.
I've had it melt a wristwatch before.
Oh yeah, don't put it on plastic. It 100% melts plastic.
Yeah.
it's gnarly. So you know,
What if your clothes are plastic? Wait a minute.
Well, I mean, yeah, polyester. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Great question. I have no
What if
idea.
it's slowly degrading your clothes and you don't really notice it until they wear through and you're like, oh, I guess I was just really rough on them.
Dang.
Whoa.
Something else compared with DEET versus catnip is DEET does work differently than catnip as far as like its repelling properties. DEET works a little bit more. I saw it referred to as like an invisibility cloak. So it's kind of masking your scent from the mosquitoes. Mosquitoes also, if they like land on your skin that has DEET on it, they taste it with their little feetsies and they go, ugh, and they fly away.
Okay.
They do not do that with catnip. Catnip is more, again, just like repelling them versus like masking you and it tasting bad to the mosquitoes.
Okay.
So again, it is very effective at repelling mosquitoes, but if they do manage to like fight through it, or if it's starting to degrade a little bit, once they're on you, they're still going to bite you.
Okay.
Whereas theoretically with DEET, if it's still effective, it actually like, it's not just repelling them, but it is like, they don't like it, if that makes sense. So
Sure.
it's just working slightly differently there.
Okay.
So if you're really like extra stinky, catnip might be the better alternative for you because maybe you can't be cloaked by the DEET.
Yes. Oh gosh.
Wait, what are they sensing though? Because like, don't they? I mean, they're using multiple channels, mosquitoes, to find you, like carbon dioxide and like darker colors and what, heat, right?
I think so. Yeah, they will use heat as well.
So what is it cloaking?
I couldn't really find like a simple answer to that, honestly. But it's like it's messing with their senses in a way that, it's
okay.
Yeah.
It's more like affecting their senses over like literally covering up or masking.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. It's
see.
affecting how they are, picking up on your signals that they're picking up on.
Cool.
So
Makes sense.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Very fun.
They drink the microplastics in our blood. The DEET affects the microplastics in their brains. There we go.
Dang.
Back out of the abyss,
No,
Back
you're
out of the
fine,
abyss.
fine. No.
Oh gosh. I wanted to touch very quickly on Silvervine. It is something that's becoming more popular with cat owners. It is it is native to Asia, and it is actually related to kiwi fruit, which I thought was interesting. And it does contain the same iridoid that catnip does and a few others. So it is like chemically different enough that some cats react more strongly to silvervine or they react more strongly to catnip, depending on their own preferences. And this plant has different compositions of the iridoids in the different parts of the plant as well. So some cats, again, really like the dried leaves. Sometimes they like it more fresh. Sometimes they like it more dry. Sometimes they prefer the branches or the roots or the fruit over the leaves. So it's all really weird, and even the age of the plant can affect those chemical compositions as well.
Okay.
It also has pest-deterring properties, and these compounds, I found a really fun paper. Like if you just search the compounds, you don't really find anything about cats when it comes to silvervine, but you do find a lot of really weird ways that insects are using these compounds. There's an Australian ant that produces these compounds in its anal glands and uses it for defense against other insects. They're also found in a couple different species of beetles that do the same thing. And a wasp that uses it to attract the flies that it parasitizes.
Oh.
So absolutely wild stuff going on there.
Interesting. I'd forgotten about silvervine, but that kind of cropped up in, I feel like it was recent years.
Yeah.
As a catnip alternative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like commercially.
Yes, absolutely. Both catnip and silvervine have been found actually to have effects on humans as well. Not so much the getting high effects. It actually is used traditionally as antifungals, antibacterials, and even anti-inflammatories.
Okay.
And I believe that it is the silvervine in particular that has a lot of historical use as a like you can use it in like herbal teas to help you sleep and things like that. So it has more of like the zen effects versus like the arousal effects that it has in cats on humans, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the use of catnip in like teas and things like that. Like the human effect of it is, I mean, kind of negligible, but it's like a more relaxing, more cultivating a general sense of well-being.
Yes.
Like a chamomile type thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sleepy time tea, stuff like that. Valerian root might also be something that people are familiar with. It has a lot of the same chemical properties. It has the same iridoids. And again, it has a long history of sedative use in humans.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
In teas and brews and all sorts of things. Yeah. Even pastes that you apply to your skin.
I feel like there's several like commercially available catnip teas.
Yes, absolutely. I've never had a catnip tea, but now I'm curious.
Something you and the cats can enjoy together.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh gosh, I've seen people make like homemade catnip teas, like from like catnip for their cats. For their cats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they make little catnip soups.
Wait, I've seen that too. Yeah.
So, so many different ways to enjoy catnip.
That's right.
Is that safe?
Couldn't tell you. I am not endorsing any of these things. These are just things that I found.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like, okay, if it was commercially produced to be inside of a toy with no direct contact, is it like covered in pesticides or something? Like,
well, you can get like catnip that like you just put on the ground and they rub on.
Yeah, you can get bulk
Oh,
catnip.
yeah.
And they eat it. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
My mom one time found like a little vial of catnip in like a drawer, and she like had an intervention with me because she thought it was weed, and I was like 14 at the time, and I was like, it's catnip. Open it up and smell it. Give it to the cat and watch how they react. Like she was like very serious about it. She was like, do we need to talk about this, Nicole? And I was like, no.
Have a talk with the cat.
Right? Yeah. It's his stash.
Very funny.
God.
I think about that like almost every time I give my cats catnip.
Yeah,
Just
no,
how
that's
serious my mom was.
That's a very baby Nicole story.
Yeah.
Yeah. You weren't doing drugs as a teenager. You were hoarding catnip for cats.
animal enrichment.
And animal enrichment. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess in conclusion, sometimes cats just like to get high. Let them get high. It's not sexy. It's not, this weird, dirty,
Yeah, don't make it weird.
Yeah, don't make it weird. Like, people always try to make things weird about sex. And, like, I think at its roots, this is, like, some weird misogynistic thing where, like, in the 80s and 70s when these research papers came out, it was a bunch of dudes being like, yes, dude cats are also super sexy. This is the only reason that cats like this. Maybe I'm going too far, but...
No, that seems right.
Well, I mean, probably the idea that it was similar to cocaine, or that's like, because that triggers a more psychosexual reaction.
Sure.
Or, at the very least, helps people write movies and like have a really high output.
Mm-hmm. Housewives do all their chores.
That just a little helper. They probably assuming that it was like that, and then this is the. Context is important if whatever lens we're kind of viewing these things through. Yeah.
It informs the conclusions we come to.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. Plus, we've, I think, been in a constant state of moral panics, but that was a big moral panic era. Of course, people were having a moral panic over cats potentially receiving any kind of pleasure, just because the idea of pleasure, sexual or otherwise, was like...
That's right. That's why we have the graham cracker.
And freaking Kellogg's cereal. You're so right, Alan.
You're so right.
Wasn't that the same era?
Something to eat that will have the absolute, that will make you as unhorny as possible.
Yes.
The graham cracker.
Dang.
The graham cracker. Freaking graham. Oh my God. You're so
Terrible.
right.
Yeah. So just, let your cats do drugs.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I'm thinking of this video of this orange cat, this one, he just comes up and they sprinkled a bunch of catnip in front of the camera, and he just comes up and he gets to the line of catnip and he just goes ooh, big stretch, and shoves his entire body through it. They just let him do drugs.
Incredible.
They love drugs.
Yeah.
Well, and what's kind of fun is in all of these scientific studies, they never found that the cats became addicted to it. They would, use the catnip and then walk away after 10 minutes and not bother with it again. It's not like they kept coming back to it. And these were catnip oils. This was concentrated uber catnip.
Yeah.
And they don't become addicted to it. It's fine. Just let them get high.
Yeah. It sounds like there's no downsides at all.
Yeah.
It's not modifying behavior
no,
some,
they don't.
Some drugs do to animals.
Yes, absolutely.
There are cases of that, certainly, but not here.
Yeah. I mean, we've even talked about crayfish getting high on drugs and stuff,
Yeah.
and
oh my God, yeah, they did LSD. That was crazy.
Yeah. And cribbing in horses is a problematic behavior, and it is thought that they get a dopamine high when they crib, when they chew on stuff over and over again.
And that's harmful.
But that is harmful. They lose weight, they wear down their teeth, they do it to their own detriment. The cats, they hang out for 10 minutes and then they're done. It's fine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let your cats get high. It's
That's right.
fine.
Yeah. You have your morning cup of coffee, get high on your caffeine, and give the cat its little morning catnip tea.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Don't look down your nose at your cat while you're doing your own drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hypocrites.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Nicole.
Thank
I
you,
learned
Nicole.
so much this episode.
I'm so glad.
It's good. Yeah.
Thought about things I hadn't thought about, which is interesting because I think people think about catnip more than a lot of our other topics.
Yeah, absolutely. That that's what kind of drew me to it. Is at first it was a joke suggestion, but then I looked into it and I was like, oh wait, this is actually really fascinating.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I feel like we have this season. Do we have another? No,
I'm doing a drug episode.
You're doing a drug episode, but not
different.
like a recreational drug episode.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be more of a
downer.
So tune in for that, everybody.
Thanks for the effort, Nicole.
Yep, you're welcome.
I'll take care of that later.
Yeah.
Wasn't there you told me about was it with macaws that were like living in poppy fields in India? or
Oh my God,
something?
yeah, they love
There's
opium.
ton of drug use in animals. And
Yeah,
I thought
that's
about
very common.
Yeah, I thought about touching on some of those, but I also don't want to like steal future topics. So
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, that's fair.
birds getting drunk on berries, like
Mhm.
it's everywhere.
Well, that's, I mean, drugs we're familiar with are derived from plants. Like
Absolutely.
poppies
Yeah.
are where opium comes from.
Yeah.
Yep.
Animals are exposed to that all the time because they like evolve next to it. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Absolutely.
Yes. If you love heroin, so does a bird. Well,
I don't think that that's the same thing. I don't think any parrots are out there shooting up.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, probably not.
They're just
They could probably learn how
licking
to though.
milk. Yeah.
They're
Oh my
smart.
God.
Huh. Well,
Let's
that's
get
for
the-
another. That's for. We'll delve into that another
How
time.
do we pivot? Oh,
Um,
jeez.
Hey.
Hey.
Thanks for listening to Filthy Animals, and also thanks Nicole for talking about filthy animals.
Hey, yeah, you're welcome.
This podcast is produced by the nonprofit GrasslandGroupies, dedicated to spreading scientific literacy in the interest of preserving our favorite natural resources. Send us mail at 4925 South Broadway, number 69. And that's Wichita, Kansas, America.
America.
67216. Other social media and contact info is in the notes. Nicole, I'm going to ask you for brain bleach, even though this was just kind of a feel-good episode, literally.
Hey.
So, what brain bleach do you have for us?
Can I just point out before you do brain bleach,
Yes.
yes, that it really seems like with this topic, the animals were not the filthy ones, and it was just people trying to make it filthy.
A little bit, yeah.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
I picked it because I was like, oh, it gets cats horny. That's funny. But that's not even what was going on.
Yeah, yeah. Humans,
So-
the real filthy animals all along.
Yep.
Yep.
And aphids
I mean,
a little
that's
bit.
a good point.
but,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, aphids.
Aphids are, yeah,
They're very horny.
they're getting
But sometimes they're not.
freaky on those catnips. Okay, go ahead.
Aphids
Mm-hmm.
primarily reproduce asexually.
Oh yeah, that's right. We talked about
So,
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then, sometimes they don't
Uh-huh.
because nature is never one size fits all. So,
that's true.
Well, just having a great time by themselves then.
How about for a little brain bleach? Everybody lists their favorite cat pose. Nicole, what's your favorite cat pose?
I mean, the loaf, obviously.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's not true. When they lie on their back and they're just like ultimate comfort and they're just like their mouths open a little bit and their eyes are rolled back and they're just dead asleep. That's my favorite for sure.
That's good.
That's pretty
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
The loaf is also really good.
Okay. Yeah. Good choice. Good choice.
Thank you.
I like when they're a perfect circle.
Yeah, that's pretty good too.
Ooh, that's a good one. Little
Medley's
cinnamon
really
roll.
good at the
Yeah.
circles.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Alan?
I think it's very funny when a cat stands up on its back legs to look out the window.
Yeah.
Yes.
Little meerkat.
Yeah. That is pretty good.
Long
Pretty
neck.
good.
Yeah. Especially if they only have one front leg. That's very funny. Love my kitty.
Yeah, you good kitty.
Farewell.
Ciao.
Bye.